welcome to this video. I hope you're all doing okay. And today we are not going to review anything. We're just going to talk about some stuff that I noticed in the animation world recently. What I've noticed recently is the rise of like non-Japanese animes. There's more and more Chinese animes or Korean animes. For example, the platform I watch animes on lately, like especially this year, I don't know why, has been filled with Chinese animation. Just one name that I have in mind of a Chinese anime that I watched is The Outcasts, but there's tons and tons of Chinese animes. I'm not gonna talk about them because honestly I don't know much about these. I haven't watched a lot. There are a lot of animes that have names that I can't even pronounce. So honestly, I'm not going to talk about Chinese animes in this video, at least, because I have to do a lot more research just to talk about them, and I'm not going to do it now. What I'm going to focus on in this video is Korean animes. Because recently we've seen a lot of Korean animes like coming to the front of the scene, such as Tower of God and The God of High School. For some reason those two animes have God, the word God in them. Is that a coincidence? First of all, these Korean animes aren't really Korean animes because they are like adaptations of webtoons or manhwas, you call them what you want. But what is surprising is that the animation part is done by Japanese studios. It's really interesting to see that even if it's a Korean story, the animation part will still be done by Japanese people, or at least in those two animes that I named earlier, those who were made in Japan. This idea came to my mind then that maybe the Korean industry is so focused on like creating dramas because that's the main I think that it's the main source of entertainment in Korea. It's drama. Maybe the Korean industry is so focused on drama that they don't take time to actually make animes. If you know about some Korean animes that have been like animated in Korea that I don't know about, please feel free to tell me. Recent things, not things from like 10 or 20 years ago that are popular just in Korea for people that live in Korea and stuff like that. No, I'm talking about stuff like the Tower of God, for example. I find it really strange to have like a Korean like manhwa being animated in Japan in Japanese, you know. So you have in The God of High School, Korean names are said in Japanese, which is kind of strange. I like that they didn't change names in the early 2000s or late 90s. Is what they did with Japanese animation is that they changed the name in Western names, which is kind of fucked up, I think. So yeah, they didn't do that. They really kept the original names, and yeah, it's kind of funny. Also, what I noticed is that even though Tower of God and The God of High School were animated in Japan by Japanese animators, you can kind of feel the webtoonish side of what you're watching. Korean webtoons are well known for their really colorful drawings, in contradiction to Japanese mangas that are usually in black and white. And somehow I feel like the animators of Tower of God and The God of High School took that into consideration and used a range of colors that would be seen as dynamic, fun, and really vibrant, just like in those webtoons. Another difference that I think is noticeable between a regular anime, Japanese anime, and a Korean anime is the story. How the story is told in a manga and in a manhwa are two different things. In a manga, it's much more I feel like the author takes a little bit more time to explain what the situation is, what the environment is, what the context is of the story, and what I've kind of felt like when I read manhwas online, webtoons online, I feel like I'm just being thrown somewhere and I just have to deal with it and kind of figure out what the story is about as I am moving on. I felt it a little bit more deeply with Tower of God, because the first episodes I was totally lost. I didn't know what this area was about. Why is he in a kind of tunnel? Is it the end of the world? Is it even the same world that we live in? What is it? I was so lost. I had so many questions. Are they the only ones in that tunnel? Why are they here? What is this tower thing? You just have so many questions. What is the overall situation of the world? You didn't have any kind of information about that. And with the God of High School, it's kind of the same, but like less violent. But I think it has a lot to do with the fact that it's supposed to be like our word, like it's in the city that we know, Seoul. I think that's why we weren't really lost. But when it comes to what this God of High School tournament is, and how did that happen, and what does it imply and stuff like that, we don't really know about it. At least what I think is that the first episode we weren't told much about this tournament. Yeah, we weren't really lost in the story, but it's because it's in a familiar environment, I think, but not especially because they took time to explain us what was going on. So I think this aspect of like Korean anime is really different from like a Japanese one, for example. Of course, there are Japanese animes that does kind of the same thing, but I feel like it's an exception. What I mean is that normally the author gives you information on the world the story is in, so you can understand the rules of the universe, and thus makes it a little bit more believable. With some webtoons, it looks like no time is spent doing that at all. And that has a lot to do with why the viewer can be a little bit lost at first. If we add to that since webtoons are sequenced in really small chapters and they squeeze 3 to 4 of them in only one episode, yes, it's disturbing. It's a different dynamic from Japanese animations. At least that's what I think. But like in general, it's kind of I'm not gonna say the same stories, but like the same structures. If I had to compare those two to like a Japanese anime, I'd said it follows totally in the shonen neketsu type of manga or anime. That's all I wanted to say. If you like this video, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more. Bye!